Draft your LCS team and earn money. Alpha Draft.
Group B for now at least. Let's bring up the bracket and see where we have ended up. It is going to be WE versus CJE Entus in the next match, and let's see how they got here. Of course, CJE Entus yesterday winning their first game, but then falling to the hands of TSM in that one. And WE powering through, takes to the Diana, Monte Cristo. Or not really. We'll get back to that.
I think partially thanks to that, Diana. It was a bit of a rough match, I think, around both sides. Very uncoordinated.
Yeah. A match rough around the edges.
Rough around the edges. No, I was just kidding, of course. I want to touch a little bit on CJE Entus and their game versus TSM specifically, and then specifically the draft. And that Lust Boy Mad Life matchup, which I think Mad Life maybe tunneled on a little bit too much in going for that Leona and maybe trying to style a little bit in general.
I think as Monty had mentioned earlier, that the fact that the coach is missing, they're kind of putting a lot of trust in the players and as to what they want to do in the pick and ban phase. And they committed to a Xerath later, but with the Leona, you kind of want to have a little bit more protect to that champion. So perhaps going for a Jan or denying the Victor earlier would have been a wiser choice that I think, had a coach been there, would have been made.
Yeah, I think that taking the Victor would have been a great decision. And even if you take the Leona, I'm still just much more of a fan of the Ezreal. For me, you go Ezreal Leona so that Ezreal has a bit more self-peel and Leona can go in and initiate with a follow-up from the Mundo, or you take the Janna and commit to the Xerath. But in that way, it was a bit of a clash of strategies, and TSM just looked great.
Yeah, I wanted to say that as well. I mean, the point is that TSM did look incredibly good in that game. I don't think anyone really expected TSM to actually come out and play that well as they did. CJ, on the other hand, I'd agree. Like, disjointed. There were some plays from Mad Life there where you thought, he's just a little bit out of position, maybe not quite on top form, but I think WE's a completely different kettle of fish. If you look at how TSM played yesterday and how WE played, there's a massive, massive difference there. I don't see CJ really having that many problems, though, with WE.
I don't think so either, but I did like that the substitute players coming in for World Elite have shown quite a bit of mechanical prowess. The Sivir was doing very well with the spell shields, like hiding the orb walking. Same goes with the Diana. Diana being able to throw her crescent, the Q, mid-air while she's flying in the ultimate, get the reset, and it's really nice to watch because, as we mentioned before, these players are really high ranked in the Chinese server, so they're meeting the expectations of the mechanical play, not so much as a team.
Yeah, and we know that the mechanical play is there, but just based on the quality of players that come out of the top levels in terms of individual strength out of the Chinese scene. But it's just, this team had never even played together as 5 people before arriving here in Katowice. Yeah. So it would be a shocking upset for them to beat a team that has as much chemistry developed over the long term as CJ. Now, obviously, that's potentially a possibility, but I think it is unlikely.
Yeah, and it was definitely interesting to see how WE in their first match played like they were in solo queue and had a lot of communication issues, then had a complete turnaround versus Gambit, although that might have been a little bit pushed by Gambit as well. So maybe they can step up here as well. We're going to take a look at the lineups for both teams before we get in there, though. Starting with the lineup for CJ, as we know it, of course, Shy, Ambition, Coco, Space, and Mad Life. And on the other side, WE, Aluka, Spirit, CA, Mystic, and Yuze. I think I'm connecting it right. We're getting to it. We're getting to it. All right. If you're CJ going into this, there's also from an honor perspective, there's actually no way that you can lose this matchup.
Yeah, it would be disastrous. Obviously, the Korean community is extraordinarily harsh on teams that lose in international events because Korea in esports, any game they touch, the big Kespa teams get involved and they are the dominant force. So there's a huge amount of pride on the line for these players.
I think we spoke earlier about that the Korean community was actually giving GE Tigers flack for their victory against over Cloud9 because they felt like they were almost throwing it. And like, wow, that's pretty harsh.
The 28-minute win was not enough. The total domination because they missed a timing. That they may have been able to finish perhaps in 26 minutes.
Then I don't want to read the comments for CJ versus TSM yesterday. Yeah. That's probably not quite as nice to look at.
Well, take a look at the team right now. You can see Shy laughing right there, so they do seem to be in good spirits. Obviously, their head coach, Coach Kong, you can see on air right there. But typically, they rely more on the coach under Coach Kong, whose name is Coach Sun, who used to be the old CJ Blaze coach before the teams merged, to develop most of their strategies. He's more of the gameplay coach, providing a lot of that analysis. And actually for him, you may or may not know, but all Korean men have mandatory military service, and then for a number of years afterwards they have to return occasionally to do a couple days here and there with the military, and that's actually what happened to him, is that he had to go back for some of his days, and so therefore couldn't make it to the event. So just unfortunate timing, but we'll see if it affects this team's chances in the long run. Probably will.
Do you think that CJ as a team doesn't maybe listen as closely to Honor as they would to Nofe? With that Leona pick is what I have in mind.
Well, I think that it's just that Coach Kong is not, he doesn't really, from my understanding, shape the general strategy that CJ operates on. Honor's been there for a long time. He has the relationships with the players, but in Korean teams, you typically see the head coach is more in charge of the practice regimen and everything like that, and then there are sub coaches who are more directly involved with team strategy. It changes. Obviously, Nofe is kind of both for the GE Tigers, but if we look at a coach like Reach, he's more like on air, and then you have coaches like Mokuza and Vinyl Cat for Najin that are more directly involved with the strategy.
All right, well, I do think they will have their eyes on the prize here, CJ Entus, and if we look at maybe the matchups, one, Spirit versus Ambition could be an interesting one, but Spirit hasn't been as aggressive as I thought it would be actually coming into this tournament. That might be an in.
Yeah, and I think some of that happens to come from the fact that in the LPL, he's really used to who he's playing against, and he knows how his style is going to be reacted to. While going into an international competition, that may not be the case. You know, specifically, a team like TSM has never played against a style like Spirits before, so he may have not had as much confidence and as acting the same way in the jungle, on top of the fact that you're picking the early Jarvan. But I think the Luca Shy matchup, I think the World Elite's probably going to have to go with that first pick, Maokai, just like TSM.
Yeah, we'll have more on that in just a bit, but first we're going to meet the teams on stage with Chobra.
Thank you, Shocks. We are now here for the last game of the group stages, the very last best of one, the deciders match of Group B. So far, the story in Group B has been how both these teams have been dominated by the NA powerhouse TSM, but right now, the focus is on the two teams from the big Asian regions to fight for that last spot in the semifinals of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. First up, ending the day one on a victory against Gambit Gaming, it will be from China, World Elite! And their opponents hailing from Korea, trying to still uphold that reputation that Korea has in League of Legends esports. It's going to be CJE Entus! It's time to find out which of these two teams will secure that last spot so that we can see them play once again later in the day. We'll go right back at it to the expert desk.
Thank you very much, Chobra. Do we want to pick up where we left off in terms of picks and bans? Shy, Luca, that matchup, Crumbs. Good.
Yeah, and we saw him try to tackle the Hecarim top yesterday, and it was underwhelming, to say the least. You know, he was kind of ulting in, just saying, "I'm here, guys. You know, put me in the
camera." The team was going like this.
Put me in the camera shot. I can be a part of the team." But the Maokai again, just I feel like a Luke and Stake are kind of the same boat. You don't get the Maokai and be really useful, even though it's not such a difficult champion to play. And I think that CJ should target that out and recognize that as one of the conditions that caused their defeat against TSM.
I actually wanted to just touch back on the jungle matchup and Spirit that, you know, he's kind of fallen a long way since, you know, World Championship semi-final, in my opinion. But you also have to say, for WE, they're playing a style, they've got two new guys in that team that I think that makes it really hard for Spirit to actually shine in that lineup.
Well, I mean, he has been individually very dominant, but yeah, in terms of the team fighting, obviously there's still a lot of bugs to be worked out of that system at the moment. You're dealing with players speaking to each other in two languages, right? They're trying to communicate ideas, unused to each other's playing styles. So I think it's going to be hard. That said, I think ambition has been caught out a lot of times in the games that we've seen him play so far. He's been generally fine in team fights, but sometimes he's in dark parts of the map, and it does cause kills that really aren't necessary.
Well, we are going to be getting into bans and picks here. My question is, are CJE going to let the Diana through, which CJE has been playing here? And looked, especially in game number 2 yesterday, in that victory over Gambit, looked pretty damn solid with, I can tell you that the first ban actually out for Team WE was the Lulu.
No surprise.
Yeah, you cannot let the same composition that they managed to run against Gambit go through again. And the Rek'Sai coming in, I mean, as we mentioned before, Spirit on these really mobile junglers is a huge threat.
And we see the Thresh ban coming out again. TSM also banned Thresh. Personally, I don't feel that this is a very good ban. Obviously, Mad Life has made all of these legendary plays on Thresh, which people remember, but he really has not been prioritizing that champion this year. All Janna, all Nami, pretty much. We did see the Leona, but it's mostly Janna and Nami he likes to peel these days.
I'm a little worried now with these bans. It makes me think that these teams perhaps are as not researched as they should have been, with the Rumble ban targeting Aluka, really not showcasing any prowess in that champion throughout the LPL, and kind of odd, to be honest, to ban that. I'm not sure what they're going for with this.
I mean, Aluka's 1-6 on Rumble right now. Is that a champion that you want to ban against Aluka?
Right. Well, we also did see the Ezreal ban from Gambit against WE when it was not even the same mid laner who was the big threat on Ezreal. That was Ninja. So I think some questions here. But in fact, WE is going to ban the exact same champions that TSM banned when TSM was on blue side up against CJE by rounding out with that LeBlanc.
And finally, somebody has been listening to what I have to say about Maokai, and they have banned it, so I'm really glad about that. And the first pick, I think we'll probably see maybe a Janna pickup here, because World has really liked it, or perhaps the Nidalee jungle, but first pick Nidalee jungle can be rather risky.
I think you definitely take Nidalee here, because otherwise CJE has shown that they're willing to take it on their first round of the draft on the red side previously. So I think that would be a pretty good call. The Lulu not available, which is what they picked against Gambit, but they have shown a willingness to grab that. And if I don't even know what to say about this again.
I mean, yesterday we saw Luca banning Spirit's own champions that he cannot play Jarvan, and he banned it himself. That's not true, actually. He banned it against Cabashard, but it was a good joke by a quick shot. And that's obviously the jungle Jarvan, and I don't know why you'd want to take that when you're not trusting your lanes, when you can get the Nidalee who can practically solo carry from the jungle, and Spirit has done so.
And not to mention that this also means there's no pressure on CJE to take that Nidalee immediately ever. We also know that Ambition's a great Lee Sin player, so this gives them flexibility. They grab the Hecarim in response, and the Corki, which is, of course, that staple early pick in the Korean draft.
And the double Trinity power spike that's going to come in from the Hecarim, from the Corki, is going to be enough to overwhelm World Elite, especially with Jarvan not being as tanky as he was before.
And the problem is that if they play Ezreal here too, the backline deletion between True Shot Barrage and a Hecarim engage is going to be pretty intense. So I think WE is very wise to start picking up that Janna right now, because if this composition, if the Ezreal's there as well, they can just eliminate your carries immediately.
What do we think to Diana again from CJE? I mean, second game yesterday, performed well on it, got to that stage where, you know, Diana's kind of at home, pretty tanky, got a lot of damage in there, but this early on in the draft, what do you think, Zach Crumbs?
It's no surprises, to be honest, after picking it 2 games in a row into nearly anything. But what I do like about it is that he's made the adaptation and is taking the teleport, the Ignite Summoner spell right now.
For now, yeah.
For now, hopefully. But the Diana pick can really deal in the late game versus these double AD compositions, just because she has so much burst and cannot be poked down with the shield. So couple that with the Janna, it leads me to think they're probably going to go with another Sivir composition. It's a little dangerous running Sivir with the Jarvan, just because Sivir does not have enough range to auto anything at the edge of the Cataclysm.
And there's the Victor. So taking your advice earlier, picking with the Victor this time around. Unafraid, especially after see that mid lane matchup. And we already do see Shia switching over to that exhaust, which Nope. Teleport immediately.
You know, you want to help these guys out. You want to give them what you think can win, but it just doesn't happen. And what I want to see is going to be the last pick from CJ. Now, we know Mad Life has gone for the Nami a lot of times once Janna is out of the pool, but I don't think the Nami really makes a whole lot of sense in this composition.
I actually disagree with you. I think that if you play heavy engaged supports with Victor, that you really leave him very vulnerable, especially up against a Diana. I would much rather see the Nami here just to provide more peel for the Victor.
I think a Morgana would honestly just help out just a little bit, just because, I mean, it's such a speed composition coming in from World Elite, pretty identical to what they've ran before.
Why bind one when you can wave the entire team?
Surfs up.
But we could see the Annie. Now, it is important to know TSM did show off how well you can synergize the Annie stun into the W. But that, I think it changes the flavor of Victor compositions again in that situation, because you're looking more for picks at that point than you are for those big team fights. And that was kind of a new style of team play with Victor that we saw from TSM that I had not seen in any of the Korean teams that have run Victor so far.
Now, the Diana versus Victor matchup is one that we saw in the GE Tigers versus, I believe it was SK, but Diana running the Ignite with the teleport. I do believe that Kuro is a better Victor than Coco, just because he has shown more games on it, has had more audacity in terms of blind picking it, but I don't think that Coco is going to be as pressured as Kuro was versus Fox here.
Well, I think it's definitely true.
But I do think that perhaps World Elite's mid lane is going to be a better Diana than Fox, just because of how good this player is mechanically.
We'll have to see.
You don't think so?
Well, I think we've seen more carry potential from him so far, but I think that Diana in particular requires a lot of coordination in team fights, because it's a one-way ticket into the back line. If your team isn't there, you just get screwed.
Yeah, we'll see on the Rift in just a bit. We'll be back with the last game in Group B right after this.
And here we are. It is time for the final match in the group stages here at the Intel Extreme Masters. World Elite versus CJE Entus. I'm Doa. With me again is Quickshot and Deficio. Who do you think is going to move on?
I mean, if you just look at the team comps and you ignore the two teams, I really like what World Elite has put together here. I don't really understand the Annie pickup for Mad Life. I feel like Peel for your Victor and Corki is way better, but it might be because they got Lee Sin in the jungle, who's more again of appealing jungle, not really hard engaged going in from Ambition side, so they wanted some follow-up for Shine the Tech Rim. I'm not really too sure how it's going to work out. We're going to have to see. I really like the comp again from World Elite.
That's right. Well, WE on the blue side, CJE Entus on the red side, a battle for survival here in Katowice. And we'll see who can take it. The winner, of course, goes on to an extremely difficult match against the GE Tigers, so it does not get any easier from here. And here we are. Welcome to Summoner's Rift once again. World Elite versus CJ Entus. And if you look at CJ Entus, they have a lot to prove after that devastating loss versus TSM yesterday. The fans in Korea eviscerating them on the forums. CJ needs to have a good game here.
Yeah, especially because World Elite, it is still one of the bottom teams in the LPL here against a top 3, top 4 team in Korea, CJ Entus. And it's funny if you look at the two teams because World Elite, they win games by winning the laning phase, and then they play somewhat of a solo queue style where it's a lot of individual performances, split pushing going on. We see the double teleport again from them. And CJ, at least here at IEM, have been pretty bad in the early game, honestly. They've been falling behind and had to kind of, play these late game comms where they really need to buy more time before they got to the stages where Space and Coco could really start to carry the fights. So if CJ falls too far behind against World Elite, like we have seen before from these two teams, you might be in for quite an action-packed one where it's not guaranteed that CJ will be the winner, despite them being the better team.
Yeah, I actually agree with that, and I share the sentiment in terms of team compositions that Defishi was alluding to just before we loaded onto the Rift. In the previous game where we saw SK going down because they couldn't deal with the top lane mega tank, if Aluka gets to that point, it's going to be so difficult for the relatively limited damage of Victor plus Corki to take down a mega beefy frontline. Add to that all of the mobility between Sivir, Diana, Jarvan. They should, in theory, be able to run around and bypass that one-way ticket that Monty was discussing from Hecarim as well.
And that's the thing about CJ's comp here. Basically, they have to get ahead early on because they have to be the one deciding the fights. When you run any Hecarim, that is pure hard engage on your side. No peel come in from your backline in that case. And you're against Diana, who's going to dive you, Jarvan, Sion, Sivir with her ulti. So many things are going to dive Victor and Corki in these fights here. So if CJ falls behind and loses the vision control, where they no longer are able to set up the fights with TPs from Hecarim and flash tippers from MadLife, then they don't really have anything, because they gotta blow up Diana or Sivir first before they get onto the back line.
Yeah, well, we saw Aluka getting that quick level 2 from dying at that camp using that Sion passive. Meanwhile, a lot of trading going on early on in this bot lane. I mean, Annie's certainly decent at trading in lane with that extremely long auto attack range. So we'll see how much space and MadLife can get done.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do. Of course, Aluka did that death to the Raptor camp yesterday as well, costing Joe Miller those fantasy points.
Gasp.
Teleports from both top laners, and we've got standard lanes as well.
Yeah, standard lanes, the level 2 being won by the Annie Corki, as you mentioned before, Dor here. Annie is really good in the early levels with the long range
one of my favorites.
Here, and one of where Janna obviously is more putting the shield on the Sivir, so she's not really able to auto-attack trade too well. And nice little poke to Mystic is still, this lane is fairly tough for a Corki to play in because Sivir is so good at, avoiding the Q damage from a Corki, and she has the ability to fast push his wave in and force Corki to sit and simply farm on the tower because he doesn't have the same kind of wave clear early on. He needs those rockets before he can really be left on his own. So it's going to be more in control of World Elite early on in the bottom lane.
It certainly should be. Coco and Chia, meanwhile, in the mid lane. Coco, of course, will be upgrading that E as soon as he's able to push that. But for now, Chia able to push that all the way up to the turret. And Coco, a little bit down on CS.
It's one of the funny things with Victor. He's one of those few champions who needs a certain amount of gold before he can really back the first time. Because if you go back and you only have 800 gold, you're not really gaining anything because you delay your Hex Core upgrade, the first one, as you mentioned before here. And that's terrible, where other mid laners can go back, you get maybe the build up to an arm guard or whatever, and it's not the end of the world for you. Victor needs those 1,000 gold before he can really go back the first time. And when you run teleport, we might see World Elite put a lot of focus on the mid lane with Spirit and of course Diana in there to kind of jump and poke Victor out, force him back before he gets 1,000 gold. But first gank is gonna be in the top lane.
Yeah, getting jumped on, but Ambition coming in a bit late on that one. First thought of ganking anyway happened.
So I got excited with Deficio too, so we thought that was going to happen. Talking about the junglers, we didn't really discuss once again this first pick, Jarvan. In my opinion, Spirit really needs to have a good game on this champion because Jarvan has really fallen out of favor with a lot of the top tier picks and a lot of the top performing teams. And Spirit tried it yesterday, didn't work. It was banned out against Gambit in the last match of the day. But I'm not a believer yet.
Yeah, well, it certainly didn't work terribly well for Spirit the first time around. Shy, getting poked a bit by Aluka, which isn't too surprising early on in this matchup as well, too. And Shy's Hecarim, another champion that, maybe could use a bit of a...
Are they going in
performance
Deficio?
boost. They might be.
And this time they will, because the wave is also pushing. So Luca is going to move forward here. Now they're jumping in.
Here we go, trying to make something happen here. Luca gets pushed back towards that wall. Ambition comes in off of the Q, but Luca not even needing to use that flash. Ambition going to get stunned for a moment. He's actually taking quite a bit of damage. But Luca, of course, not able to go back in. And Spirit able to take that early dragon potentially for WE.
Yeah, he was already on the bottom side of the map. And remember, we mentioned how Sivir and Jan is going to push this bottom lane up. That opens up for an early dragon because there's no risk of Madlife and Space suddenly moving from the lane to stop Spirit and kill him.
Right.
So just a nice setup as soon as they see Ambition and have this bottom lane and the mid lane as well pushing in for World Elite. Good little early setup by them. And it's fun to see how Ambition is now putting focus on Shy's lane, because normally Shy's just farming on his own, but he's playing Hecarim, he wants that Trinity Force, so a bit more of a carry champion for him.
Well,
and obviously that's why.
I think you're right earlier when you said that they really need to prevent Luca from becoming that hyper tank that he so often does later in the game. So that will put a lot more pressure onto CJ to make sure that top lane is shut down.
Yeah, we don't see it working just yet. Ambition spent a fair amount of time. It hasn't necessarily cost him a whole lot. Just 2 small attempts in terms of making something happen. But I like the fact that World Elite did sneak that dragon away. It was very heads-up play. It shows that they were reading the map relatively well. And, for World Elite, the longer they can drag out a laning phase, I think the happier they're going to be. They want to get some power spikes. You want Diana to get towards most likely Abyssal or maybe even Hourglass if she wants to rush
Take
that.
2, honestly. It's going to be Abyssal first into Hourglass, most likely for him. And yeah, that's where we really see Diana start to shine, because she can dive the back line.
Right.
She can survive the burst. If Victor pops everything on Diana in a team fight, she pops the Hourglass, and you avoid simply most of it from Coco. And that's why for CJE Entus, if they do fall behind and cannot get to set up these fights with Hecarim and Annie, they don't have enough peel to stop World Elite from diving this Victor in every single fight. He's so immobile. The guy did not invent a rocket pack, and that's wrong.
Luckily, CJ do have a lot of tools to start fights, so as long as they do play aggressively, more than their opponents yesterday. CJ played against a heavy engaged team from Gambit, and Gambit simply didn't find the right team fights. CJ will need to almost channel a better version of that with this Hecarim and Space is going in.
Space, going in onto Mystic. Pretty hardcore. Can he get the first blood? There's a heal. Space still sticking around. Here comes Madlife as well. Mystic low, and there's the flash. The first blood taken by bloodthirsty Madlife. Of course. What do you expect in Madlife trying to shut down all those haters from yesterday, making the plays under turrets?
Something to prove indeed.
Absolutely.
Bit of a weird trade by Mystic, though. He could have run away. I mean, he kept just trading one by one, or one for one there.
Yeah.
And in the end, obviously, Madlife came down from the early roam. Could be one of the other reasons for Madlife picking this Annie, not to flash ignite an animated carry, but simply for the early roam and the pressure he can put on the map. Diana is a champion who's very mobile in this mid lane, so you can go and kill her fairly easily with a roaming support and a Lee Sin to really try and shut down the pick. But for now, there's been no ganks in this mid lane. Ambition put all the focus top lane, and now invading.
Instant missing pings from Shia from that middle lane the moment Coco was no longer there. So I feel like Spirit reacted very well. And some good communication from World Elite, something that we felt was a little lacking in some of the team decisions. But quite nice to see that substitute mid laner feeding information to the jungler.
She and Spirit moving up into this jungle now, but they could be in a little bit of trouble. Coco, Madlife could come from behind. You see pings already going down. She on the run. Shy's going to try to box Spirit in here, but Aluka coming in from behind. Shy's going to engage onto Spirit, pushing him away just slightly, and Shia able to get away.
It was anticlimactic.
No kill. Yeah, I guess not. Yeah, I thought it was going to be exciting.
Everything around this top lane has been too exciting now.
They're playing with our emotions, man.
We saw Madlife again, however, roam on this Annie, and that's why he picked it early on. Simply because Corki is one of the champions after level 6 who can handle himself in a lane and just sit there and wave clear with rockets with his Q and get most of the farm. And then you have this roaming support now. Madlife, again, he likes to roam around a lot whenever he can, trying to shut down this. I'm almost going to call them a solo queue team from World Elite because they got these 2 new members. They got the communication problems.
Yeah, it seems a bit like that.
And that really has been now the tactic for CJ in this pick and ban phase. Will it pay off?
Well, it looks like we've got a little bit of a pause here. And Ambition just left the game, so a little bit of an issue with Ambition's computer. We'll see what that is. Obviously, if your jungler's not in the game, it's kind of hard to win sometimes.
Especially in the team composition that CJ have put together. The thing is, right, the laning phase has gone out. We're about 10 minutes in. Even as far as you can be on gold, 1 kill in favor of CJE Entus, but Madlife had to burn that flash and ignite for it. So there's a little bit of timer before you can go for another aggressive engage. it's just standard lanes. There's not a whole lot to talk about. Everybody's farming well. Everybody's doing what they need to do at this level of play, even across the board.
I do have to give some credit to Luca. I mean, I was a bit hard on him yesterday. Said he was one of the worst top laners in the LPL. Here at IEM, he's been performing okay, honestly. His laning phase has been pretty good, especially on Sion. He shut down Dyrus and Kennen as well when they played yesterday against Team Solar Mid. So I got to give him the credit here, and he's been doing a good job avoiding the ganks as well from Ambition.
Well, I think Shy is a good matchup for him as well, too, because Shy right now isn't the most aggressive top laner as well, too. So Luca's going to, have a little bit of time to sort of farm safely. We've seen the ganks from Ambition not working out. Luca sends one of his minions to say hi to Shy. Doesn't want him to recall just yet, and that's actually going to help maybe deny a little bit of a CS and XP, at least forcing out the teleport for Shy. Oh, you think the wave's big enough? No.
Nah, he's
Shy
hacking
doesn't think
home
so.
guards. Yeah, he got early home guards as well
Yeah,
from
he'll get there.
From the Korean Hekarims here, so setting up their lovely TP ganks, and it means you can get back to lane so fast with E and home guards.
And such stark contrast to when Freddy played Hecarim yesterday. Did not get home guards the entirety of the match, and we didn't see SK Gaming flanking or coming in from the sides. You could argue that was part of the reason why they lost to the Flash Wolves earlier today. I think CJE Entus should be strategically more aware of how to pick these team fights. Maybe with Mad Life on a roam flank, Shy with a TP, Onslaught of Shadows. But again, with the home guards as a ticking time bomb, you have to use the items that you've invested gold into.
Sure, but I like it. Personally, I think it was a mistake from Freddy not building it yesterday. I think it fits so well with their whole the passive and everything from Hecarim. They're fantastic flanks he can do, and once you get your Phage as well, that's like your two first core items, we can say, because the Phage giving you more movement speed as well.
Sure.
And then you go for 24s after into full tank. I really like that setup from the Korean Hekarims, and we know Shy is fantastic at using teleports, so it's gonna pay off hopefully for CJE Entus later on. For now, this Annie pick. Yeah, it has to, obviously. But for now, the Annie pick has not really done too much. He's around the mid lane, though, together with Ambition.
Play potentially on Shia. Ambition does come in. Shia trying to back away. Looks like Spirit's going to trap Mad Life for now. E comes in. Shia able to get a kill on the Mad Life Shy. Not quite able. No, he did get Spirit after all the Chaos Storm chasing Shia around as Aluka teleported down there as well. Issa coming up to provide a bit of support on that Janna, but the fight is over. A 1-for-1 trade, and CJ putting a lot of pressure on that mid lane.
Yeah, and you notice how quickly Shy was actually able to jump into that fight. Unfortunately, Mad Life, no flash, no Tibbers. He just got melted by Spirit in the Cataclysm. But I really like the fact that it was CJ that started the play. They had the aggressive dive. Unfortunately, there was enough members of World Elite to bounce back.
Yeah, and a very good ward you can see between all these red wards here from CJ, and just around the mid lane. That one ward spotted the roam coming in from CJ, and they could respond. Mystic trading again with Space.
Getting low. Teleport coming in, though. Space doesn't notice it. Wow, easy kill. It ends up being for Mystic. Wow.
And 12 minutes on the clock, Shia did not have that level of impact on teleport yesterday. So again, as a team, World Elite also improving and growing.
A nice little setup. Mystic baiting it out. He died the last time he tried to because Mad Life came down and killed him. This time they had the teleport, and Spirit was right around the mid lane using the Trailblazer Smite to play out the wave. Still, CJ can push it in, and they should get at least a bit more damage because Mad Life, he keeps roaming around. He's not with Space. Technically, Space's only job is just sit and farm, because he's going to get a level advantage on this Cork. He's already level 9, I believe, at this point for him. So it's a big power spike, especially once you get the Trinity Force, and that's where you start grouping as CJE Entus, and you use an over-leveled AD carry with a Trinity Force, potentially even rank 2 of your ulti, once we really start seeing these fights around the 20-minute mark. And that's how CJ likes to play with Space. They did it yesterday as well. Mad Life, however, needs to get more from this Annie to really make that work for him, because he needs the lead, and CJ cannot afford to fall behind.
Very true. Vision wars have begun near the Baron, or near the Dragon, rather. Baron's not around quite yet. And so far, both teams, a little bit of fighting in lane has prevented any real Dragon attempts at this point. Looks like CJ might be willing to give it a try. They are, but there is a ward right there, though.
Yeah, there's no teleport, though, from either of the top laners.
Yep.
And of course, CJ have got better positioning. You can see Shy started the recall. With his home guard, he's going to be in lane very, very quickly. World Elite not even going to make an attempt. So evening up the dragons.
Yep, for CJ. They will pick up their first dragon of the game. They're getting Drift Scuttler. Not even worrying about that kind of weird floating rocket dragon head ward. That's an interesting ward, isn't it?
Yep, for sure. But I like to play from CJ.
Yep.
You know, Spirit wasn't there. They take quickly started because there's no
Spirit.
TP, and then
CJ's coming in.
oh, Spirit, yeah.
Knock up onto Mad Life. Spirit trying to get it. Oh, he stunned him with Timbers. Shia coming down as well, too. Looks like Rowan won't knock anyone up, but Shia getting an easy kill onto Mad Life. Now that Diana really starting to do work. Oh, Ambition coming back in, though. Kicks Mystic away. He didn't have the damage, and Coco not in position to add onto it, get the killing blow. So in the end, WE just comes away with a kill.
Yeah, and again, CJ, they want to start some picks here. They went for Spirit, flanked around him, but World Elite instantly, they grouped together with these 4 guys on the bottom side of the map. They're moving very fast. We can see pings coming down from the team as well. Got another kill onto Mad Life, even jumping Space now.
Yep, Space, Valkyring away. Still had his flash and heal, didn't need to use those, but Shia still pushing him out of lane, and that's going to let them get a little bit of damage onto that tier 1 bot turret.
And now we've gotten to the point where teleport on your mid laner suddenly pays off. Because yes, it makes you weaker in the laning phase, but he didn't get punished for it. He's 2 kills now. Yes, there were a few roams from CJ, but they did manage to shut him down. Now he can become a split pushing force. Who's going to stop him later on? Are you going to send Victor down in a one-on-one against Diana? No, that's not going to happen.
Probably not.
And Hecarim is going to be standing against the Sion anyway. So you now have this 1-3-1 setup from World Elite. They used it yesterday so well against Gambit, and there's just no response because you cannot deal with double global from the side of World Elite.
Yeah, yesterday was triple global with a Rek'Sai as well. So World Elite showing that they want to push the map, they want to maintain control, and Shia is going to get the first tower of the game.
Yep. That mid lane turret really low as well, too, for CJ, so WE should be able to pick it up in the near future. Mad Life just checking blue for the moment, but CJ already losing a lot of map control here overall.
And we can just look at the items here from World Elite. Like Mystic, he went back, got early attack speed on his boots, simply so he can wave clear faster. You don't need the Infinity to play a wave. You just need one or two hits with your, or 1 hit with your Q, I guess, and then 1 or 2 hits with your W, and that wave is cleared. So the attack speed really comes in handy because they moved him to the mid lane, where he's just sitting there. He's not doing anything other than kill minions. That's all he's gonna do. It's about the side lanes making the plays at the moment. We also have seen Coco upgrading his Hex core a second time because he knows he's gonna need to peel for himself, so he needs that Q movement speed to stay alive in that back line.
CJ trying to get their first turret of the game. Spirit is around, so is Shia. That's not quite enough defense, but Yisa's coming down as well as Mystic, so WE trying to bring 4 people to save this turret. Looks like they will. Meanwhile, Teleport coming in as well. We'll see if Iluka can handle it. Shy teleporting down too. There's the Sion ultimate flash on the way. He's running into the wall. Shy gets into the back lines with the onslaught of shadows. CJ looking okay, but Mad Life in big trouble. Shia gets the kill. There actually went to Sion. Iluka already that crazy tank. Space though, able to help Shy pick up another kill for CJ, and now Iluka on the run. The ult from Sion didn't really connect with anyone. They are going to die. Well, they thought about it. That would have been a little bit risky. So many turret shots taken by CJ, and we'll see if they still have enough health to take this turret. I think it's going to be a little bit iffy.
Well, they got a few minutes left. Yeah, they got it now. World Elite not healthy enough to do anything. There is teleport on Diana in 10 seconds, but no ward behind. Teleport 2 here. Yep. That was a good tables by Mad Life. Got 2 targets with it. Spirit ended up dying first. He didn't get to do anything in the fight. Just got blown up, making sure CJ could win it.
And of course, as Mad Life was peeling backwards, World Elite trying to chase him down. Just bought, excuse the pun, but space and time for Coco and Space to deal damage. So all that focus onto Mad Life. I think that Tib is definitely saving CJ Entus for a 2-for-1 as well as that tower.
And that's what you gotta do when you run Annie instead of a disengaged support here with Victor Corky. You gotta be the one landing that Tibbers onto World Elite. That's your sort of peel. And then obviously you have to Lee Sin with the kick, but he can only choose 1 target, and there's gonna be a Diana, a Jarvan, and a Sion trying to go for your backline. Who do you choose?
Yeah, and Annie picked up those distortion boots as well. I felt Edward did not have enough flash engages yesterday when playing against CJ Entus from the roams that Mad Life has already performed in the first 20 minutes. The movements around the map, it feels like Mad Life really wants to be impactful, and it's because he has to be. Because
it's the reason they pick it.
Correct. And we need to just see those flash engages coming out. You can see Flash almost off cooldown, but Sion's going to come from the side, and he's going to see if he can find a target.
Spirit coming in, and he does manage to connect with Space. Coco is right there as well. Can he save him? Spirit gets really low in the Cataclysm. They do get the kill onto CJ's AD carry. Coco able to zone with that Chaos Storm, so it looks like that's going to be about it for that team fight. We'll see if CJ can defend that mid lane turret now.
We saw CJ though try to play around the Corky. We talked about the level 11, so you got rank to ult, you got the Trinity Force. There's a massive spike for you, and that's why you start grouping and poking down this tower here. They got the mid tower, they got the bot lane tower as well beforehand, so that's very good for them. But also we just saw the power of World Elite when they can get the engaged. Space had no flash, so he simply got locked down by Sion ulti. Jarvan went for him. And that's going to be the problem for him all game long. Let's see what happens top though.
Well, Shai finds Shia. We'll see what this duel ends up with. I feel like Shai will see what he can do. Shia in a little bit of trouble. And that's a solo kill for Shai on that Hecarim. He takes it. Shia just stuck around.
Look at that horse. That horse was amazing.
He was.
No Hourglass yet for Diana here, so no armor. Build all magic resist first. Shai winning the first duel, but he hasn't won the entire war yet.
It's true, but this is a point in time where CJ starts to make progress in their games. Yeah, they can be a little bit down in the first 15, 20 minutes, but it's really right now where CJ starts to group up, have great team fighting, and make plays.
And to actually explain why I think that was such an important kill, Shai at 3-0-1 is the person that's going to try to deal with Shia.
Definitely.
You know, we touched on how Shia wants to split push with that teleport from that Diana. And if Shai can keep scaling, can keep getting more tanky and more damage, and be the disruptive force that CJ needs, it's going to be off of those engages. Dragon started by CJ, World Elite are relatively close by, but top and mid still need more time. They're too late to the party.
Yep, CJ with another dragon, and things are starting to turn around a little bit here now.
Only problem for Shai is there's an Hourglass completed now. But then even Ambition,
Kicks Shia away. We'll see if anyone else can catch him. Meanwhile, Spirit getting a little bit caught. Pops a Cataclysm. Mad Life flashing out of that one. Aluka there to kind of scare everybody away. Chaos Storm dropped by Coco, so no kills on either side, but crucially, that Flash and Ignite used by Mad Life, that's going to make the engages for CJ a bit more tough until that comes back up again.
Yeah, and of course, you know, Shai was a little bit out of position there, wasn't able to respond to World Elite. Yes, I think that Hourglass is going to make Shai's life a little more difficult when dealing with Diana, but that previous duel was quite heavily in favor of Shai with just the Triforce.
It was again.
And no tanky stats either.
Yeah, again, so there's no armor on Diana before, there was no arm guard or anything. It is completed now. If we're going to see a Nashos coming in next, waiting for the attack speed, Shai won't be able to do anything in the one-on-one because he cannot stick around. So much of a Diana's late game damage comes from her passive. Every third hit, obviously. Fantastic scaling. I believe it's like 0.8 AP ratio with 200 damage in base. So it's a fantastic passive late game. And that's where in the one-on-one duel, the Hecarim obviously has to stay nearby and keep hitting himself. He won't be able to do that against the Diana.
Very true. Shai, though, quite a bit of CS up on Aluka right now as well, too. Looks like they're going to duel a little bit, and Shai taking quite a bit of damage this time. He's going to have to flee. Ooh, gets slowed a bit, but he'll get out anyway.
Power Pony.
Yep.
Going to be able to get away. That's a lot of confidence as well. Shai knew full well that he didn't have any damage threat to deal with. The Luca's just gone full tank. Frozen Heart, got the cowl at the moment. But
Ambition. Shia jumps on him. Looks like Ambition can safeguard over that ward, so he'll make it out. But he's got to be so careful. Punishing Ambition is what a lot of teams have done. And here we go. Hecarim, coming in onto Aluka. A little bit more damage. Space is right there as well, though. Can CJ actually collapse on this? Aluka actually uses that ult to try to catch Space. Can't quite do it, though. There's the ult from Shai coming in. The fear. Nobody there to make anything out of CJ. Yeah, the rest of the team just didn't come down through the jungle, it seemed like.
Just completely split up here from CJ.
Weird
saw the Hecarim TP with the home guard, and right in the face of a Sion who's going to be like, okay, I'm just going to hit you in the face and stop your home guard. I mean, I don't care.
Very odd.
And then the rest of the team kind of split up. There was no flash from Mad Life. Remember, it was blown before. Every single trade World Elite takes, whether they just blow a flash on either Ambition or on Mad Life, is so important because those are two of the options for CJ to engage. And we see as soon as they're down, well, Elite feeling very confident they can start pushing up.
Well, yeah, he can siege a little bit with this one now. WE doing a lot of damage to this mid lane tier 2 turret.
Yeah, really smart play from World Elite, punishing CJ Entus for not having their abilities, and they may even get this tower.
And CJ having no coordination, Shai went from this bottom lane straight up to the top lane after teleport already been used, and World Elite showed 5 guys in the mid lane. I mean, obviously they're just going to push it into the tower because the Hecarim has just showed himself in a different lane.
Yeah.
CJ really not on the same page here, and World Elite playing the map really well, forcing summoners from them, have had pretty good warding as well around the map itself, and this tower is so low. Let's see what Shai can do.
Oh, he's trying to catch Mystic, can't quite do it though.
You know, I want to touch on something that we've seen a couple times this game. Ambition was caught out, and yesterday, you know, we saw Ambition going down to Gambit a few times in the very first matchup. It feels like Ambition is consistently in a dangerous position. It cost deaths yesterday, it's been pressure today, but it hasn't hurt them yet. But you can't deny the fact that he seems to be caught out, or he seems to be found out by his opponents throughout the entirety of this group stage here at the World Championships.
You do see though, as soon as World Elite trying to reset the map after they had a few pushes going on, the recall to base, CJ still know they have this Corki here and they can push on these outer turrets. Instant group mid lane, take it down. Mid lane here though, will go down because Diana is already there and joined soon, hopefully, by the Fnatic Janna skin.
Well, we'll see if they decide to do it.
Apparently
guess
not.
not.
So, Deficio,
Okay.
you flat out lied to us.
Damn.
It's fine. We'll forgive you. We'll forgive you. You're allowed to.
Oh,
make
the
one
tower's
mistake.
gonna die soon anyway.
Okay. touche.
Someday soon. Within the next, 15 minutes, I would imagine it might go down.
Well, 25 minutes
You
on the
never
clock. Even on kills, even on towers, even on gold. I like both teams' team fights when the respective team starts. If CJE Entus can flank with Hecarim and get a good Tibbers stun, all of a sudden World Elite's damage eaters can go down. And a similar story if Shia can find a target and Aluka can, run at them with that Scion. There's great tools on both sides of the camp. And I think those big fights are going to happen.
Ambition in a little bit of trouble yet again. Safeguards away. And yeah, Ambition likes to check those bushes with his face. And he's lucky Lee Sin has an ability called Safeguard, because if not, he'd be dead like 4 times this game already.
In his defense, though, World Elite disabled the ward in the bush with the sweeping lens. So I don't think he actually saw them. That's why he walked down. And we're not going to see the Nashes just yet on World Elite. Instead, Deathcap coming in as the third item. Honestly, I like it as
Look
well.
at Coco's positioning.
Yeah.
They're looking for a fight.
They're going for it.
That's right. Tibbers dropped down. They caught Spirit, but is there any follow-up space? And Coco coming down, focusing onto Yisa. Meanwhile, Shai gets in the back lines onto Shia. He's going to be pushed back in that blue
Aluka's not there.
Storm used early. Shai comes in with a big vault. You're right. Aluka coming down river. He's not going to be at this fight. Shia tries to make something happen after the zonies can't quite do it. A kill for Coco. Shai chasing Mystic down the bot lane. Spirit there to try to intercept if things get too close, but here comes Coco. Mystic in a lot of trouble. Dodge the E. Mad Life chasing. He's got the stun loaded up. This is one of the longest chases in league history, but there goes Mystic finally. Coco picks that one up, and with Dragon coming up right now, it could not be at a better time.
Now, right there, we saw some of the communication problems we keep highlighting with World Elite. Aluka was in the top lane, had no teleport ready, and that's why CJE Entus, they looked for the fight, they got it. The kills, the Dragon as well for them here. So nice little advantage for them. This mid tower, however, is finally dying.
It has finally died.
True, it happened, but that's 3 dragons now for CJ. So with the amount of stacks they're finally getting, I feel like this tier 2 is worth it. What do you think?
I think for CJ it's fine. The tower was so low anyway that you knew it's just going to be 1 or 2 hits from World Elite, and yeah, you are going towards that 5th dragon potentially on their side. So I think definitely worth it for CJ. Also with the kills.
Oh, wow.
They gotta get over here to this Baron though. There are 2 guys around the blue buff.
There is no real vision inside World Elite in CJ's jungle with the exception
knows.
of
They've
that
gotta
one
know.
ward. So take a look. Shy. Teleport will be available in a moment. But Ambition's low, Doa, so this could turn out to
It's a
risky play.
Yeah, I think it's more risky for WE, though. They have to back away from that Baron. They were going to take a lot more damage before they would have been able to kill it. Coco
they're going.
on the run here. Yeah, Luca trying to make something happen. Can't quite chase him through there.
Got the flash.
Yeah. Running Scion through there, trying to go after Victor, is trying to thread a needle with a garbage truck. It's just like not going to work, man.
Good attempt, though, nonetheless. The rest of World Elite. So they've managed to pull CJ towards them. Teleports are available. Successful bait, you could argue. Ended up resulting in
Look at the red.
blowing Coco's flash and stealing the red buff. So if World Elite find another opportunity to jump on Coco, he's significantly less mobile.
And they can, if they just bait the Baron again, you force CJ to come down towards it, you know there's no flash and they mobile Victor in the back line. That's the way for you to start the fight once Science ulti is ready. But we haven't seen World Elite use these 2 teleports in a while now. Not really been too much split pushing going on. Been a lot of team fights, and they've been on cooldown, you know, first Diana was on cooldown, then Science was on cooldown now. Haven't really gotten to use the 1-3-1 in a while, and that's also why CJ has managed to hold on pretty well.
Yeah, now the previous attempt at Baron, World Elite had just 2 wards inside CJ's jungle, and actually it was the 2 wards that CJ ran directly over. I couldn't actually spot them underneath. This time around, there's 6 green wards, 2 pinks in the pit. There's a lot of vision for World Elite to play with. If they're not pushing that top lane and trying to make advantage with those double teleports you just touched on, Deficio, that is a lot of investment that's just going to go to waste. Use the information, play on the side of the map where you have something to play for. Let Shia maybe push bottom, and he can TP up from behind, or Luca, whoever you prefer.
Do see them though focus more again on team fighting in terms of their builds as well. We just mentioned before with the Death Cap coming in, not an Ashes for Diana here, simply because you want more upfront burst. When you dive the backline here, obviously the AP ratio on your passive, as we talked about, is fantastic. So just go in there, get one hit with that one, and you Q on your ulti. That's going to kill a Victor or a Corki in any given fight. And not going for Nash's just yet, maybe later on. Not expecting it, honestly, seeing as we got the Death Cap coming as the third one.
CJ able to clear a lot of that vision out near Baron. Meanwhile, Shy with a pretty effective split push down at the bottom, and I think one of CJ's strengths have been able to sort of cause WE to have to kind of move together as a group, and if they can do that, they can kind of deny those two teleports. They can make one Summoner and Diana essentially worthless.
It's kind of weird though, because it's not
Teleport
CJ
from
really
Luca.
pushing up there. Now we see
Now
teleport
they're
there.
coming
Mad
in.
Life.
Yep, trying to run away.
Oh.
Pop that talisman. It looks like he's going to be able to make it. Luca uses his ult though. There's the stun coming in from Mad Life. Didn't use Tibbers, just use a regular stun.
Now it's Shy's turn. He's teleporting behind with home guards.
Yeah, Mad Life actually just walked right into that stun, but here comes Shy. They're going to try to make a play here. On to Shia. Goes Shy. Shia about half health. There's a little bit of zoning from the gravity field from Coco. Mad Life goes down due to Spirit. Coco exhausted, gets jumped on in the Cataclysm. Shia manages to pick up a kill there. Space has to back away. Only Ambition left. Now as Shy tries to get out of the fight, the flash used by Space. Shy may be in a bit of trouble here as well too, but a resounding team fight win for WE. Can Shy get away? Of course he can. He's Hecarim. He's got twice the legs of everybody else.
He can run for days, but World Elite, they don't care about him anymore. They want this Baron. We see how tanky they are in this fight here. The Hourglass came in at the perfect time as well. Victor blew his entire combo. Hourglass denied. Nothing happened from it. And again, no flash on Coco. It was blown before. He was stuck in the middle of the fight, ends up dying. He's not really been able to assassinate anyone on this Victor.
No, not this time round. And it was CJ that initiated that fight. She is on the wrong side of the river.
Yeah, and Mad Life, everybody trying to catch him, but meanwhile the Baron is not being taken by WE. They actually turn to try to save their mid laner. Space forced back into the mid lane himself. Mad Life in a little bit of trouble. Ambition comes in with the safeguard to keep that health a bit higher. He just ends up getting slowed. Shy coming in to try to disrupt the back lines, and there is Coco. So in the end, CJ groups together, gets everybody out safely, but what's it going to cost them?
Well, it delayed the Baron, number one. I think that may have been the primary focus. Shia was trying to zone off, but just to keep going back. World Elite placed the vision, they're using the vision. They're playing in the side of the map where World Elite has information, and CJ has to either blindly check or, be a lot more risky. Take a look at the lack of vision from CJ towards the Baron. Very, very smart play from World Elite. And you still just have to remember, Shy teleported in behind World Elite.
Yeah.
That ended up costing them those, 3 kills a few minutes ago.
Well, this game is really on kind of a knife's edge for both of these teams. Each team is very capable of taking a team fight right now, and there's very small things, small mistakes that can lead to a pretty big win for either side.
Yeah, the only small win for CJ before, despite giving up those kills, was both teleports were used by World Elite. And it means they're going to go back to just staying as 5 together, where it's very tough for them to push up. There's a lot of wave clear on the side of CJ, so you're not going to siege up on a tower, really. And you keep baiting this Baron where CJ has played some good wards now. And it's a bit risky still starting it. There's a chance of Ambition stealing it, or you get caught in the Baron pit against like a Hecarim ulti. That can ruin your day completely. And a Victor, obviously, with this massive amounts of AoE damage. So it is buying a bit of time for CJ, because World Elite has not been using teleports to really split push, but more to find team fights.
CJ Entus at the moment needs some more time because Space doesn't have that last Whisper completed. And with the amount of tankiness that Luca's got, over 3k hit points at this stage in time, and the Randuins on Spirit, there's a lot of frontline that Space needs to deal with. They're going to try to run a Luca down, but this is going to take a long time.
Yeah, meanwhile, WE coming in from the side. They have to worry about the flank. Shy still way deep, and Coco again. He's been using that gravity shield to just zone, to just help his team get in a better position. And it certainly saved them right there. Spirit, Q lands from Ambition, but I don't think he's going to follow that one up. Yep. Oh, Ambition in a little bit of trouble. Shia jumping onto that one. Gravity field used again. They bring in Diana. Diana in a bit of trouble. Spirit traps some people in the Cataclysm. Coco did get the kill on the mid laner. Now CJ and the rest of the Entuses, I don't know where he's going with that one, try to push down into River. Shy comes in onto Mystic here, and Space needs to get there as well. Luca still a threat from the side, and I think that's all CJ's going to be able to get out of this one. Can they get the Dragon, though? It's a bit risky, man. Some of the members of CJ very, very low. Shy has to recall.
Yeah, he's recalling back to base. No teleport for him, but there should be a dragon more. Oh, there we go.
Close. Yep.
4 dragons now to CJ. World Elite only sits on 1 on their side. Very nice team fight by CJ here. They chained the CC so well. No Hourglass was used. Got the first kill, and then most of the damage is suddenly gone from World Elite's side.
Gonna have to add a second seat to CJ. With all that crowd control they've got.
That's definitely the case.
It's probably not going to happen.
No, not this
probably
time
not.
around. I personally prefer the Entuses. I would have thought
The Entuses?
it's one Entus, two Entai. What did I?
CJ and the Entus. Makes sense.
But World Elite, that's the first team fight that I felt that they were not necessarily on the same page. You know, WE have had a pretty good showing throughout most of this match and have dictated when the fights happen, and Shia focused down really heavily.
The plan was for him to jump in and simply outlast when the tippers came down, when the Victor ulti came down, and he would kind of like force all these ultis onto him, and then the rest of World Elite could dive in after. But he didn't manage to get it before he got CC'd the first time. He got feared from Hecarim and everything, and ended up dying. But right now, again with World Elite not using the split push at all, they're kind of playing into the only way CJ can win, and that is by team fighting 5-on-5, because you won't have any options for CJ to really stop any split pushing going on. And that's also why they're still staying in this game. They got the 4 dragons now, so the next one is going to be the big one for them. I really just want to see World Elite split up into 2 side lanes, have the Sivir sit in the mid lane for wave clear, and then you have teleports ready in case any engage happens. Yeah, okay, it's risky against the Hecarim with like TP home guard engage, but as long as you have proper wards on the side, he shouldn't be able to get in behind you before you can TP as well and join that fight.
It's also super difficult for a team that would be relying on a substitute AD carry to lead the charge in defense and a substitute mid laner to lead the charge in terms of split pushing.
That is true.
And we've already seen that Shia's teleports have been questionable yesterday, I think better today. But as you've already highlighted, Deficio, World Elite, they seem more committed to team fight.
Going in again.
Flash, Mad Life in a little bit of trouble. He managed to get Timbers off though. Jarvan going way deep, and that's a kill for CJ Coco. Aluka a little bit trapped behind that Cataclysm Ambition. Kicks Shia away, giving CJ a bit of time to disengage Aluka, taking a lot of damage from that focus fire. Shy, thinking of coming in with the flank. He used his ultimate already. And CJ just going to be happy to push WE back at this point, I think. Another little win for CJ Entus.
Yeah, small one again. And a lot of summoners blown here. We saw Coco. He also saved his ulti. He knew that Diana's going to jump in, start the fight outlast.
Yep.
So he just saved the ulti. He flashed away, and then one Spirit joined the back line. Just popped him with the ulti from Coco. So that was a really good setup. And now they start the Baron.
Yep.
TP coming in from Aluka.
This is a bit dangerous. I mean, they don't have Spirit there. Yeah, it's enough. CJ has to back away. Aluka getting in the back line. Shy jumps over the wall, trying to get some damage into Shia. Shia gets the kill onto Shy. Ambition, or onto Coco rather. Shy in a lot of trouble now.
Baron got him.
And he's on the run now. Yep, there we go. Baron, he's there, he's helping. Shia really making a difference in these later game team fights. He got blown up last time, and now Shy way deep behind enemy lines. That's an easy kill now for WE, and they're the ones who can turn onto this Baron. Only Ambition and Mad Life can do anything about it.
And why did you start a Baron against double teleport that hasn't been used for such a long time here?
Great question.
Super risky from CJ Entus. This should cost the Baron for them, and even more kills for World Elite now.
Yep, I don't think there's a whole lot Mad Life can do. The Baron is dying fairly slow without the AD carry. Meanwhile, they've got bot lane pushing up too. That's not so bad. Ambition waiting for a chance to maybe come in and steal this. WE, they're getting so low. Yeah, they're turning onto him. Shia with half health. Ambition comes in a little bit early here. Ambition manages to get the kill onto Janna. Gets out. He's disrupted this Baron more than enough. Mad Life still there, coming around the side. Shia a little bit in the back lines. There goes Ambition. Now they're going to turn back onto the Baron yet again. Still low health, but here comes Home Guard Hecarim. No teleport for Shy, but he might be able to get there in time. Can he do it? There's the Baron now. And WE manages to just barely get away. That was one of the longest Barons ever, man.
So World Elite punished CJ Entus for that risky play thanks to their double teleports. Shio, out of mana, was able to zone Ambition for a little while, and while all of that was going on, the massive minion wave in the bottom lane also secured a tower for WE.
Yeah. Well, CJ's the one who tried to take this Baron originally, but let's take a look at what happened next.
And remember from the last fight, flashes have been blown for Coco, and once again he's the first target to die. Baron and Aluka working together, getting kill on Shy. And honestly, here now it's just going to be cleanup time for World Elite after CG got caught around the Baron itself.
Well, Space nearly got 2 kills here. He managed to take out Mystic, nearly got Isa as well, but eventually just died.
I don't know what's bigger on that Scion skin, his fist or his hammer?
Probably his hammer, I would
Must
say.
be the hammer there.
I think the hammer is a little bit bigger. Either way, he's got a furnace inside him. So if he's hungry, he can just kind of put a pizza in there, wait about 15 minutes.
Wouldn't it get pretty burned in there?
I don't know. Depends on how hot it is, I guess, right?
I guess the word furnace implies pretty hot, I guess.
That's true. Maybe
I
it's
just
just
thought it would be a perk in winter.
maybe it's a brick pizza oven.
I know how you like your steak. I don't know how you like your pizza. I gotta say that.
Cooked.
Get some new
Generally
jokes
like
to
it
fish
cooked.
That's not a joke at all.
Okay.
Steak is never in this game. We can make the steak. Buns, he's not here.
Well, Dragon in 25. If
Yeah.
CJ get it, that is aspect of the Dragon. But World Elite with Baron and some pretty good team fights in the last few minutes. CJ don't seem to be hungry for more.
I don't think it's going to be a very easy thing for them to win a team fight near this Dragon. Luca has certainly reached super tank status at this point, even building a little bit of attack damage now. And even though this could be the 5th Dragon, this could be like a game-turning objective for them. It's going to be so hard to get. They're going to try, though.
Ambition might just go for the smite stone, and then the rest of the team backs away.
Ooh,
Oh, Ambition is dead.
A little bit of trouble. Yeah, he does get taken out. CJ just can't fight this Dragon. Does end up going to WE. Now they're going to turn onto CJ Entus. Coco locked up with that CC yet again. Exhausted. Can't do anything. Double kill already for Mystic. Shia grabs on his own. Mad Life flashing away, but he'll
Why
be
would you
taken
flash?
down very, very quickly. Double now for Shia. Space in the end manages to just barely get one onto Mystic, but that is an ace for WE, and they are in prime position now to take this first inhibitor of the game.
Yeah, they're going to push through. There's so much tankiness on Aluka.
Oh,
There's a
yeah.
minion wave conga lining in behind.
Or is it?
But it was just such great focus. Coco got knocked up multiple times and just burst down by World Elites.
Yeah, it's bad. Inhibitor 1 going down.
They might
Ambition
look to finish.
up in 10 seconds. They could try to
the
help on
minions
Aluka.
coming.
I don't know if it's going to last, but here comes that first Baron-powered super minion wave, or just regular minion wave, actually. First inhibitor goes down, or Nexus Hurt, rather. Second Nexus Hurt. Ambition there. WE, they're about to eliminate CJ from the Intox Stream Masters. Ambition fighting for his team's life. They're going to take him down, and that is it. World Elite moving on from the group stages, and CJ Entus going home empty-handed.
And we
Wow,
talked
what
about
a
how
finish.
CJ have had a fairly shaky early game. They did manage to get a lead early on in this game here, and then this Annie pick from Mad Life provided zero peel for the rest of the team. He didn't really gain too much with his roaming either, and we saw these late game team fights when Coco had no flash. Easy target for World Elite. Just dive onto him, kill him every single time.
Yeah, have to go back to picks and bans. Ask about that Mad Light, that Annie pick. Was it the right one for the team composition? And then what could they have done differently to play this out? The thing that I love about this result, Doa, is now our semi-finals has North American LCS taking on LMS, and it has number 1 LCK taking on near bottom of the table LPL.
Rest in peace, Europe.
I mean,
I guess so.
hey, it's Worlds all over again. But what a brilliant performance, and team showing growth from yesterday to today.
Yeah, it really is pretty astounding that WE was able to come in and take out CJ Entus, and I think a lot more people were expecting, a lot more from CJ, and they just couldn't deliver this week.
Of course, really disappointing performance from them, and there just seems to be so many mistakes and problems for them in the game here, where suddenly one guy engages, the other ones try to run away. The TPs from Shy never really had the biggest impact either on the fights itself. So World Elite, honestly, full deserve to win this game.
Absolutely. Congratulations to World of Elite. And now for a further breakdown of that game, let's send it over to the expert desk.
Thank you very much, guys. World Elite pulling it out versus CJ Entus. A little bit caught off guard, I must say, because the consensus here at the desk before the game was that it would be very difficult to them. So what did it come down to?
Well, I really prefer the draft right from the get-go. You know, we put Aluka on a super tank, and you see that Ambition try to camp Aluka with a good gank in the top lane, but with a champion pool like Maokai and Sion, you just can't kill these champions. And then all of a sudden, with the Annie pickup, they weren't really able to do anything in the bottom lane. And as for the mid lane, Diana just farms, pushes, and TPs back into lane. Not much of an early game plan from CJ, and eventually outscaling.
Yeah, and for me, just watching CJ over the course of this weekend, I've been really unimpressed with Mad Life and Ambition's synergy in terms of getting wards in. They're not really working together as a unit to walk deeply into the enemy jungle or to try and contest vision. Even in that game, we're basically talking about a team that was just formed, who, especially in the early and mid game, had greater vision control than CJ. That's just inexcusable. A very poor play from CJ.
Yeah, and I want to pick on Mad Life again a little bit, though. The Annie is kind of similar into the Leona with the engage and the Tibbers and the AoE stun, but you die faster as Annie, and that's what happened a couple of times.
Well, I mean, we talked about it during the draft. I think the Nami was definitely the better choice here. That's what I would have gotten. It would have been eliminated a lot of the contests and these chokes. Could have been more easy to kite back the Scion, but also, I think they just got a little dazzled by TSM, honestly, because you saw that really good synergy between Annie and Victor, but they were just not able to pull it off. And also the fact that they were dealing with this extremely tanky front line means that basically they could just ride out the CC and then re-engage immediately.
Mystic as well, I just want to point out, did 10,000 more damage than his opposite number, and well, that was the second closest person to him. Like, Mystic was constantly doing damage in those fights, did so very well. And now this is a guy that's not really played with the team. I mean, we've got TSM, Yoi Flash Wolves, World Elite. Like, no one thought that these teams would be hitting the semi-finals, right?
It's great. A lot comes down to we see ADs that have been underperforming a lot. When the Sivir pick comes in and your team just gets those kills off or gets those engages that you want, it's just a lot easier for them as well.
One of the things that I really liked is how World Elite chose to play against the Annie. Now, we did touch upon that we thought that the Annie was not a good pick, but World Elite using the Jarvan ult to constantly burn the flash, and same goes with the Scion ultimates and teleports. Killing Annie is not nearly as good as burning her flash.
Yeah, and Scion, that was Aluka, and Aluka is standing by with Chobra for our post-game interview.
Thank you very much, Shocks. And wow, we have both the underdogs of each group making it out in this decisive match. This time, of course, we had World Elite winning the final game of Group B to go on to face the GE Tigers. So congratulations are in order for World Elite, and we are now here to talk to Luca, their top laner, with some nice Scion play in the last game. First up, let's talk about the picks and bans. We've seen Maokai do really well this entire tournament, and finally we see that ban coming out against you guys from CJ. Did it really change anything for you since you've played Scion yesterday?
首先恭喜你，我们想知道就是你今天弄 PB 的时候，他们ban掉大树，这对你来说，你们有没有做什么变化？
这个是我们就预想到的，因为我们。就是用帽卡用的很多，然后在中国的话，就是我们的那个大树胜率也非常高，所以对面有所针对，我们也是预想到的。
We actually really expected this ban because I use Maokai a lot, and we expected this ban because we're really good on it.
All right, well, yeah, you were prepared with that Scion. Now, there were some times when you would ult as Scion, and you wouldn't really get the stuns, but a lot of times you would either take a flash out from the enemy team or at least disengage the fight so that you could regroup. What is your thought on the proper way to use that ultimate? Is it better to use it like you did very liberally?
就是你用 Siren 的时候，你用它大招用了很多次，但是我们可以说你没有每次打到别人。你可不可以给我们评价一下，就是你用大招的时候，你是应该怎么用？
就是首先就是要找好一个角度吧，然后其次就是我们这边其实配合出现了一点失误，就是因为很多是因为皇子大招嘛，它是一个地形，然后他先放大招，然后把别人困制住了，但是我是直接撞到他的墙上去了，所以这算是我们配合的一个小失误。
So actually there were some mistakes made with Jarvan's ulti and Sion's ulti. 可以再说一遍，对不起。
就是放大招的时候找准一个角度。
Oh, and actually when you use Sion's ult, you have to find a good angle to use it. That's the most important thing.
All right, and let's talk about the kind of final moments of the game. Towards the end, around the 38-minute mark, we did have that Baron going first for CJ, but then you guys came in, interrupted them, won that team fight, was able to take the Baron. Is that kind of the moment where you thought we're really going to win this game?
那时候那一波你们偷到大龙的时候，在38分钟那一波，你们是不是那时候想着，哎呀，我们已经赢了？
因为并没有吧，因为对面已经4条龙了，我觉得5条龙的作用比大龙 buff 大，所以我们真正的关键点是不让对面拿到5条龙。
Actually, our main objective was to make sure that our opposing team didn't get 5 dragons. I actually think that getting dragons, I actually think that them getting the dragons was more important than getting the Baron. So actually not necessarily.
All right, yeah, you did interrupt that, or you did take that last dragon too, denying that 5th dragon from CJ. Now, the question that's probably on everyone's mind, you took down CJ. one of the Korean teams here at the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship. Next up, you're gonna have to play against the GE Tigers, the undefeated team from Korea. How confident are you for this matchup?
就是今天你们打败了 CJ， 就是个很强的韩国队，可不可以给我们分析一下？就是你觉得你们下一场要打 GE Tigers 吗？你们有信心可以打败他们吗？
事实上是有，因为我们最近就训练赛的情况就很好，然后准备也非常充分。
Actually, we do have confidence that we can win because we've been practicing a lot and we've been doing well in scrims.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, the winners of that deciding match in Group B, World Elite. Thank you, Luca, for your time for the interview, and thank you, Rachel, for your interpretations. Let's wrap things up for the group stage so we can jump right into the semifinals of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship.
Thank you so much, Chopra. Hey, he's confident. Why wouldn't he be? Yoi Flash Wolves are in the semifinal. WE is in the semifinal. Anything can happen. But it ends here, yes or no?
Congratulations to World Elite for placing third or fourth.
Congratulations to the GE Tigers.
We should give him some more credit. At least they did get here, but the GE Tigers, as said, is not just one step higher. It is a lot of steps higher in terms of the way they're going to have to look into that matchup. But, you know, anything can happen, Chromes.
No, I don't think so. I'm siding with the Tigers all the way. I mean, the strategy that we've seen from World Elite in their victories has been very similar in both games, and the Tigers unfazed by teams that are one-dimensional. We saw how they dealt with SK. They'll deal with World Elite in a similar fashion, and it shouldn't be a close game.
Yeah, CJE is a team that was very one-dimensional in their own right. They did have that big run in Champions in Korea based on the strength of their AAD play. But once teams started figuring that out, they were starting to tank in recent weeks. It looked like maybe they may have been doing a little bit of an upswing against Najin, but that was a team like based in the lower part of the brackets. So I'm just saying there's a big difference between CJ, which had the kind of a power run with one strategy, kind of similar to, I think, what we're seeing with SK right now. And then there's a difference when you have a lot like deeper champion pools, the big breadth of strategies, and that's much more GE. They've also shown, in my mind, that they've been by far the best prepared team at this tournament. They don't seem to be taking their opponents lightly and have highly, highly prepared pick and ban phases.
I'm just really surprised that, you know, we're at this point where we looked at Group A and B and we're like, Yoi Flash Wolves probably going to go 0-2. WE maybe going to go 0-2 in that group. These are two teams that are now in the semi-final, and you know, Flash Wolves have beat SK in there, and you know, other teams. Why not TSM as well? I mean, I still feel it's unlikely the way that TSM and especially GE Tigers have played that there'll be upsets in those semi-finals, but.
We'll
never
see.
Say never.
It's the magic of the Intel Extreme Masters here in Katowice, and that's fantastic. But as you said, we're going to get into the semifinals soon, and remember, if you missed any of the games, all the VODs will be up on youtube.com/ESL, so check all those out along with some cool features. And we'll see you back here in just a few as we dive into the semifinals of the Intel Extreme Masters World Championship.